The Tale of Mr. Tod, Part 3. The house was locked up, but Mr. Tod had his doubts whether it was empty. He turned the rusty key in the lock. The rabbits below could hear it. Mr. Tod opened the door cautiously and went in. The sight that missed Mr. Tod's eyes in Mr. Tod's kitchen made Mr. Tod furious. There was Mr. Tod's chair and Mr. Tod's pie dish, and his knife and fork and mustard and salt cellar, and his tablecloth that he had left folded up in the dresser, all set out for supper or breakfast, without doubt for that odious Tommy Brock. There was a smell of fresh earth and dirty badger, which fortunately overpowered all smell of rabbit. But what absorbed Mr. Tod's attention was a deep, slow, regular snoring, grunting noise coming from his own bed. He peeped through the hinges of the half-opened bedroom door. Then he turned and came out of the house in a hurry. His whiskers bristled and his coat collar stood on end with rage. For the next 20 minutes, Mr. Tod kept creeping cautiously into the house and retreating hurriedly out again. By degrees, he ventured further in, right into the bedroom. When he was outside the house, he scratched up the earth with fury, but while he was inside, he did not like the look of Tommy Brock's teeth. He was lying on his back with his mouth open, grinning from ear to ear. He snored peacefully and regularly, but one eye was not perfectly shut. Mr. Tod came in and out of the bedroom. Twice he brought in his walking stick, and once he brought in the coal scuttle. But he thought better of it and took them away. When he came back after removing the coal scuttle, Tommy Brock was lying a little more sideways, but he seemed even sounder asleep. He was an incurably indolent person. He was not in the least afraid of Mr. Tod. He was simply too lazy and comfortable to move. Mr. Tod came back yet again into the bedroom with a clothesline. He stood a minute, watching Tommy Brock and listening attentively to the snores. They were very loud indeed, but seemed quite natural. Mr. Tod turned his back toward the bed and undid the window. It creaked. He turned round with a jump. Tommy Brock, who had opened one eye, shut it hastily. The snores continued. Do you think Tommy Brock is awake? The snores continued. Mr. Tod's proceedings were peculiar and rather uneasy, because the bed was between the window and the door of the bedroom. He opened the window a little way and pushed out the greater part of the clothesline on to the window-sill. The rest of the line, with a hook at the end, remained in his hand. Tommy Brock snored conscientiously. Mr. Tod stood and looked at him for a minute. Then he left the room again. Tommy Brock opened both eyes and looked at the rope and grinned. There was a noise outside the window. Tommy Brock shut his eyes in a hurry. Mr. Tod had gone out at the front door and round to the back of the house. On the way, he stumbled over the rabbit burrow. If he had had any idea who was inside of it, he would have pulled him out quickly. His foot went through the tunnel and nearly upon the top of Peter Rabbit and Benjamin, but fortunately he thought that it was some more of Tommy Brock's work. He took up the coil of line from the sill, listened for a moment, and then tied the rope to a tree. Tommy Brock watched him with one eye through the window. He was puzzled. Mr. Tod fetched a large, heavy pail full of water from the spring and staggered with it through the kitchen into the bedroom. Tommy Brock snored industriously, with rather a snort. Mr. Tod put down the pail beside the bed, took up the end of a rope with the hook, hesitated, and looked at Tommy Brock. The snores were almost apoplectic. But the grin was not quite so big. Mr. Tod gingerly mounted a chair by the head of the bedstead. His legs were dangerously near to Tommy Brock's teeth. He reached up, put the end of the rope with the hook over the head of the tester bed, where the curtains ought to hang. Mr. Tod's curtains were folded up and put away, owing to the house being unoccupied. Tommy Brock was covered with a blanket only. Mr. Tod, standing on the unsteady chair, looked down upon him attentively. He really was a first-prize sound sleeper. It seemed as though nothing would awaken him, not even the flapping rope across the bed. Mr. Tod descended safely from the chair and endeavored to get up again with the pail of water. He intended to hang it from the hook, dangling it over the head of Tommy Brock, in order to make a sort of shower bath, worked by a string through the window. But naturally, being a thin-legged person, though vindictive and sandy-whiskered, he was quite unable to lift the heavy weight to the level of the hook and rope. He very nearly overbalanced himself. The snores became more and more apoplectic. One of Tommy Brock's hind legs twitched under the blanket, but still, he slept on peacefully. Mr. Tod in the pail descended from the chair without accident. After considerable thought, he emptied the water into a wash basin and jug. The empty pail was not too heavy for him. He slung it up, wobbling over the head of Tommy Brock. Surely there never was such a sleeper. Mr. Tod got up and down and up on the chair. As he could not lift the whole pail full of water at once, he fetched a milk jug and ladled quarts of water into the pail by degrees. The pail got fuller and fuller and swung like a pendulum. Occasionally, a drop splashed over, but still Tommy Brock snored regularly and never moved, except one eye. At last, Mr. Tod's preparations were complete. The pail was full of water. The rope was tightly strained over the top of the bed and across the windowsill to the tree outside. "It will make a great mess in my bedroom, but I could never sleep in that bed again without a spring cleanup of some sort," said Mr. Tod. Mr. Tod took a last look at the badger and softly left the room. He went out of the house, shutting the front door. The rabbits heard his footsteps over the tunnel. He ran round behind the house, intending to undo the rope in order to let fall the pail full of water upon Tommy Brock. "I will wake him up with an unpleasant surprise," said Mr. Tod. The moment he had gone, Tommy Brock got up in a hurry. He rolled Mr. Tod's dressing gown into a bundle and put it into the bed beneath the pail of water instead of himself, and left the room also, grinning immensely. He went into the kitchen, lighted the fire, and boiled the kettle. For the moment, he did not trouble himself to cook the baby rabbits. Will Tommy Brock or Mr. Tod get to eat the baby rabbits? Let's hope not, huh? Well, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. As Tigger says, ta-ta for now.